Thanks for joining me. I was doing a whole lot of computer work at home and I had to get out, so I just came to a small park that's 45 minutes or so from my house, and it doesn't take very much walking to get somewhat isolated, so I'm kind of next to a little pond, but it decided to start raining on me, so I'm just kind of hiding out under a tree and watching the droplets in the water. But I thought in the meantime I would tell you the story behind the twisted picture, the tornado that I have. When I moved to Washington, I came in from kind of the northern area. I moved in through Montana and Idaho along the Canadian border. And when I came to Spokane, I learned that my sister's husband is down in Walla Walla, just straight south of there, and he was there for work. So he had a hotel room and and it was offering me a place to stay for the night. So I thought, hey, I've been camping for the last few nights because I was just going from park to park and things like that as I moved, just to explore. So I thought, hey, a nice warm shower would be great, and a hot meal. So I turned left at Spokane instead of going straight across and went down to Walla Walla. So as you leave Spokane, you're going south, you get to an area that is a lot of fields. And I moved here in August, so the fields were pretty dry, and it was just kind of nothing there. It was kind of in that in-between time. But there was a storm brewing, and I'm going along, and as I'm looking off to my left over these fields, I see this great big gray cloud coming at me. And I'm just like, what is that? Now, I just moved here from Colorado, and in Colorado, every day over the summer, late spring to early summer, we would get afternoon thunder showers. And these massive bolts of lightning, and they would often touch down and things like that. So my first thought was, oh my God, lightning just struck in these fields, and this wind is just whipping the fire right at me, and all I'm seeing right now is the smoke. So I was kind of panicking. But I was just kind of going along, driving along, and I'm getting to this point where this cloud is about to overtake me. And I'm looking around, and I realize there's a semi-truck that's behind me, a semi-truck in the other lane coming towards me, and all of a sudden this cloud overtakes me. And I just slowly come to a stop, and I'm just sitting there thinking, please, 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 both of those semi-trucks stop too. And nothing, no crunch, no squish, I'm still here. I couldn't see anything. I actually took a picture looking out my window. I couldn't see the end of my hood. It was so dense. But we all just sat there for a little while, and it finally blew over and cleared up. And when it cleared up, there was a semi-truck right behind me and one immediately to my left, just right there on me. And so that was kind of my very first couple hours of Washington. After that, continued on down to Walla Walla, got fed and cleaned up and slept in a bed, which is kind of nice. But then the next day, get up, and my goal is to make it from there to my friend's house in kind of the East Bay, the East Side area over in Sammamish. So I don't know the roads. I don't know anything about Washington as of right now, and I leave Walla Walla, and I'm just using GPS to find my way along. And it tells me, like, hey, there's this, like, if you take this exit, it kind of cuts off where the highway curls around, and it can save you a bunch of time. And I'm like, great, that sounds good. So I take off, and I'm cruising along that thing, and there's nobody on this road. It's empty. I'm just cruising along, having a good time. It's flat ground. And I come up this gentle rise. I'm still pulling this massive trailer. And I come up over this rise, and I come to this flat ground, and then all of a sudden my truck just loses power. Like nothing. And it's like it starts to coast, and then the engine cuts out. I'm like, what the heck is that? So I kind of roll up off to the side, get off the road, and I'm trying to start it up, and I'm trying to do things. I get out, and I'm looking around and trying to figure out what's going on, and then I realize I'm not hearing the fuel pump. And I was like, oh, crap. And I don't know where I am. And I'm like kind of stopping. I'm looking around going, all right, where the heck am I? And I look off in the distance, and I see this white SUV coming from this little tiny kiosk, coming down this side road. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's pretty cool. And as it gets closer, I realize it's like a sheriff or something. I'm like, how lucky am I? I break down right next to a sheriff. So this guy comes out, and he comes out and he flips around, gets behind the trailer, and he gets out of his car, and I was walking down one side of my truck, and he is coming on the other side. We're kind of doing this do-si-do thing. And finally I just said, hey, where are you, kind of thing. And he steps around the corner. And I'm faced with this man who is, I shall say, heavily armed. He had multiple pistols on his chest with extra clips. He had another shot, something on his back or something like that, full flak jacket. And I'm just thinking, what the hell is going on? And he just checks and says, hey, what happened? I'm like, it broke down. I kind of, he was like, oh, okay, good luck. Gets in his car and leaves. Just goes right back down the road. Doesn't call me, doesn't do anything, doesn't call in for me. So I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. I have no idea what this is. So I'm looking at the trailer, and I realize the trailer's got a flat tire. And I think, okay, cool. I'll call up the helpline. I call them up, and they said, yeah, we'll send somebody out. And I think, great, that's cool. And I figured I would ask that person, that mechanic, to come when they got out there, saying, hey, can you help, kind of thing. This guy eventually shows up, doesn't say a word, doesn't speak to me at all, doesn't even look like he wants to be there, walks up, puts a jack under the trailer, lifts it up, takes the tire off, puts a new tire on, drops it down, gets in his truck, and just leaves. And I'm sitting there thinking, I have never encountered this kind of people. Like, what did I do? This is my second day in Washington. So I then proceed to start calling around and trying to, I got GPS and I'm looking around and there's a city back a little ways, and I start calling them, and I go through a few different people, and finally they said, I think I got somebody who can help you. And they gave me a phone number, and I call this guy up, and because everyone was like, we can't really tow your truck and a trailer. We can't deal with the two things. You have to leave it, and that's all my worldly possessions. I wasn't going to leave everything on the side of a road that I have no idea where it was. So I finally get a hold of this guy, and he's like, yeah, I can help you out. And I was like, yeah, I got this trailer and this thing. He's like, yeah, I can help you. I'm like, cool. So he's heading out, and he's like, yeah, it's going to be about 45 minutes or so. And I'm thinking, okay, cool. I mean, I got nowhere to go. I'm not doing anything. I already had the one sheriff come out. So I'm sitting there, and I'm just kind of watching these really cool clouds coming in front of me. And like I said, just from Colorado, every day we have these awesome thunderstorms that just bring in these amazing clouds and these storms, and it just dumps all this water. It's amazing. But so I'm just watching this going, oh, cool. Not thinking a thing about it. And I look to my left, and I'm looking at this hillside. And I'm looking at the hill, and it's like, that looks kind of like a funnel cloud. And I'm like, okay. I went back, and I was watching this storm roll in, a little bit of lightning in front of me. I looked to my left, and I'm like, oh, that is a funnel cloud. So I'm sitting there looking at it going, okay. And I'm watching it form, and I'm watching it come to where it's touching down on that hillside. And I'm thinking, I'm in a truck that does not have any way of being mobile. I'm in the middle of these plains. I can't go to my left. In front of me is a thunderstorm. To my right is a guy with a whole lot of weaponry. What do I do if that thing comes at me? Where do I go? So I snap a picture with my phone of the funnel cloud, and took a couple pictures actually, and it dissipates and goes away, and then the storm moves over, and then the tow truck guy shows up, and turns out this guy was he's really into racing, and so he had modified his tow truck to be able to take the race car on the flatbed, and then it had a trailer tow behind it. So he was able to tow me back in, but I ended up having to be towed back the way I came from, into the Tri-City areas. So he pulls me down there. I end up staying the night in some random hotel room just because it was inexpensive. And that shop, I will look up the name of it. They were awesome. They got to it first thing in the morning. By midday, they had that fuel pump replaced and had me ready to go back on the road, all hooked up with the trailer, everything. So I came down and I paid them happily, and I moved on to Seattle. I will put their name on the screen here. But What I did learn in the car ride going back with the tow truck driver heading back is that tornadoes are very uncommon in Washington, which I didn't know because they're actually pretty common in Colorado and the mountain states and the plains. So, and as we were going out, we saw a bunch of news crews coming in. And so I was sitting there like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, I took a picture of it and I showed it to him. He's like, you're probably one of the only people that has a picture of that. So I ended up forwarding on to some, I think it's forwarded on to his wife because his wife, I think, worked with some sort of news or something like that and was going to use it in somewhere. But that was sort of, it wasn't really like, I didn't go storm chasing. I didn't go out looking for this. I was broken down. So if you want to talk about a photo opportunity that you wouldn't expect, yeah, I broke down, and it turns out I broke down to Hanford Nuclear Research Center, where they developed some of the nuclear bombs. That's why there was a guy heavily armed coming out to greet me as I was sitting outside of there. So yeah, I broke down next to a nuclear research to land between that and a tornado on my second day in Washington. So yeah, that's where that photo came from. It's fun, and I'm glad you guys enjoy it. But it looks like here that the rain is starting to let up. I'm going to pack up and probably walk around just a little bit more, see if I find anything to shoot. But then I am probably going to head back home because it's my turn to make dinner. Thank you much, and have a good day.